It's, whoop. Oh, I need Angela. It is 6:35 p.m. and I now call to order the Grand Island Public Schools Board of Education meeting. This is the September 8th, 2022 meeting. Notice of this meeting has been advertised in the Grand Island Independent, which is the district's designated method of giving notice of these meetings. We want those in attendance to know that copies of the Open Meetings Act are available at the entrance to the boardroom. If anyone in attendance is interested in addressing our board, you are welcome to do so. We simply request that you complete the appropriate form and turn it into us so that you may be recognized during the request to address the board part of our meeting. If you have not already completed the form, please see the staff person outside the entrance to this room. Public comment is welcome. We do ask that no signs be brought into the boardroom. Mrs. Dibbert, will you please call roll?
Mrs. Albers?
Present.
Mr. Garcinis? Please give him prior notice to the board that his absence is accepted. Mrs. Hinkle?
Present.
Mr. Hawley?
Here.
Mrs. Sturgis? Here. Dr. Rose?
Present.
Ms. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Present.
Mr. Holinsky?
Present.
Thank you. Mrs. Jergens, will you read the mission statement, please?
Every student, every day, a success. In educating students, we teach hearts as well as minds. Within the school district of Grand Island, every student has access to high-quality, culturally responsive and engaging learning environments. Every student will develop literacy skills across disciplines. Every student is socially and emotionally equipped to thrive in school and in life. Every student will graduate as a college, career, and community-ready citizen.
Thank you. Number 4, the consent agenda. The first item on the agenda tonight is the consent agenda. The consent agenda is to be approved as follows. 4.1, minutes from the previous month's meetings. 4.2, acceptance of agendas from standing committees. 4.3, claims as submitted. 4.4, bid proposals as submitted. 4.5, staff adjustments as submitted. 4.6, treasurer's report as submitted. 4.7, policy. 4.7.1, 2470, meeting minutes on first read. 4.7.2, 4555, bidding requirements on first read. 4.7.3, 6462, certified staff resignation on first read. 4.7.4, 8450, student discipline on first read. 4.7.5, 8456, student use of personal electronic communication devices on first read. 4.7.6, 8512, seizure safe schools on first read. 4.7.7, 8740, graduation requirements on first read. 4.8, surplus property listing. 4.9, MOU agreements and contract renewals. 4.9.1, Nebraska Children and Families Foundation, GIPS Child Care Partnership Contract for 2022-2023. 4.9.2, Panorama Renewal Contract for 2022-2023. 4.9.3, MOU for early college courses in CCC service area. 4.10, approval of agenda as submitted. This is the consent agenda as published. Would anyone like to remove any items or add any items to the consent agenda? Does anyone have a potential conflict of interest on agenda item 4.3? If so, please state the check number that you will be abstaining from voting on. Nobody? Okay. Do you have one? Okay. Mrs. Jergens?
I abstain from check number 84372 and approve all other items.
Anyone else? May I have a motion?
I recommend to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Mrs. Hinkle and Mr. Brown, any discussion? Erica, Mrs. Wolf, Ms. Wolf?
Sorry. No, sorry. It's my first time. I just wanted to mention in regards to 8456, the student use of personal electronic communication devices, also known as ECDs. In the committee, we discussed the process of the referrals for the teacher discretion and emphasized clear expectations and communication are important. So that way, there were some changes in regards to the consequences from going from 3 offenses to 5 offenses, and just ensuring that that is clearly communicated out both for staff and students. And the committee's hoping to have some feedback after it is moved forward, and then some review from particularly GISH, so that way we can see, is it working, is it not working, what can be improved, and where things can go from there.
Excellent, thank you. Anything else? You want to turn your? Thank you. Okay, so let's vote. Motion passes. I'm getting there. Number 5, special recognition. 5.1, oath of office, Board of Education Student Representative, Hvac Upgrade. Dr. Dexter, Mr. Gilbertson, Mr. Cloutier.
Thank you. That works. Okay. Please repeat after me. I, Hvac Cloutier, do solemnly swear
I, Hvac Cloutier, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Nebraska against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Nebraska against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely and without mental reservations or for purpose or evasions,
that I take this obligation freely and without mental reservations or for purpose or evasions,
and that I will faithfully and impartially perform the duties of the office of the Board of the Education of the School District of Grand Island,
and that I will faithfully and impartially perform the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education of the School District of Grand Island,
according to law, to the best of my ability.
according to law to the best of my ability.
And I do further swear that I do not advocate,
And I do further swear that I do not advocate,
nor am I a member of any political party or organization that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or this state by force or violence,
nor am I a member of any political party or organization that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or this state by force of violence,
and that during such time that I am in this position,
and that during such time that I am in this position,
I will not advocate nor become a member of any political party or organization
I will not advocate nor become a member of any political party or organization
that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or this state by force or violence.
that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or this state by force or violence.
So help me God.
So help me God.
And if you will sign this one, sign and date. I'll sign here. also sign this one for the board. And this is your copy. And welcome to the board.
Thank you.
Welcome, Zach. Your nameplate has been ordered. I am assured that it will be here next month. (5.2) AP recognition for high school level students from 2021-2022 AP testing. Dr. Dahl.
Are we? Thank you. Good evening, Board of Education and Dr. Grover. It is my true honor to be back here this month by popular demand to share additional AP recognitions for students that were not recognized last month, and also for students who weren't able to come to last month's meeting who wanted to come to this meeting. There are 6 students, and we're going to call them in individually, and I'll say their name as they come in. Could we hold our applause until after everyone's here? They're going to walk in and be on the stage from then on. They have. So first is Miss Emma Rao-Word. Welcome. And she has achieved an AP test of a score of 4, which is worthy of college credit and is an amazing accomplishment. Also, Miss Avery Rogers. With that same accomplishment. And Mr. Peyton Westwood. Ms. Shawnee Erbauer, and her parents were here last month as well. Ms. Daniela Venegas. And our final student has 2 different honors. First, he achieved an AP score of 5 on an AP test, and it's Bodie Albers. Welcome. And second, because of that and the average of that score, it also gives him the title AP Scholar. So I want to welcome and congratulate all of you this month. You're amazing. And thank you.
Students, if your parents are here, would you please introduce your folks or whoever's with you today?
My mom and dad are here, Tracy and Dave.
My mom and dad are also here, Ashley and Tim.
My dad and my 2 aunts are here, Lindsay, Jeff, Kim, and Sandy. I do remember that.
My mom, dad, and my sister are here, Katina, Bill, and Lakota.
My dad, mom, and sister are also here, Sandra and Tiana.
Oh, that's weird.
Parents can come up and take pictures if you want.
Yes. And squish together.
All right, squish together if you can, a little bit closer.
Okay.
All right.
Let's see. Can I close this? I am too short for this.
Oh, yeah. Sure, absolutely. Yeah, let's see if parents want to hop up, they can, but we can do that
Feel
first.
free. Is there any other parents? Oh. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Get it? Okay. All right, then we'll swap out parents, and we'll have Mrs. Albers and Dr. Berger.
Okay, now me. All right, 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Six campus highlights, 6.1 Gear Up, Dr. Allison Bailey and students who represented Nebraska at the Youth Leadership Summit will present their experience at the annual Gear Up conference. Dr. Palmer and Dr. Bailey.
Hello, Board of Education, Dr. Grover. I'm pleased to announce that we had 4 students selected from Grand Island Senior High to participate in the Youth Leadership Summit as part of the Gear Up Annual Conference in Washington, D.C. So we had 4 students out of 150 students were selected to attend. So that's a great honor. And they want to tell you a little bit about their experience, and I don't want to take any of their time.
Hi, so we will be presenting about the Youth Leadership Summit and our experiences in Washington, D.C. from this summer in July. So I'm Adeline.
I'm Ava.
I'm Ashley. So the purpose of the Youth Leadership Summit was really designed to get students from around the country to gather in one place, which was this year Washington, D.C., so we could further enhance our leadership skills and our public speaking skills.
So what we did over the 3 days was we met new friends and people of support. We exchanged our contact information to keep in touch with the people that we met. We enjoyed new experiences, enhanced our leadership skills, and learned how to be more comfortable in public speaking.
We gained a bunch of friendship from around the world, like Hawaii to New Jersey and what was it called? Just North Dakota and stuff like that. We learned valuable life skills like leadership and public speaking. We learned from our peers topics that they were passionate about, and action steps to further encourage their passion. And we gained long life memories. We also gained knowledge onto the national capital. And to add to the knowledge on the nation's capital, the Youth Leadership Summit was 3 days long, but we were there for 5 days, just because of how the flights worked. And we got to visit the White House, the Lincoln Memorial, like historic monuments and sites like that. And it was really cool because lots of us never have been to Washington, D.C., so it was really cool to learn more and really get to experience the capital. So opportunities, we got to learn more about our peers, like on their beliefs and their stances on different topics. So we got to break boards, like karate chop boards. So we each were given a board and we got to write our fear on it. So like mine was like not taking advantages of opportunity, and Ava's was
Just negative thoughts.
not letting people take over me or like take advantage of me. And breaking the boards really was supposed to represent like us letting go of that fear or those thoughts. And that was really cool because all of us got to do it, and we were all really encouraging and supporting all our other peers. And with that, we got to take back what was ours. We didn't let negative thoughts hold us back, and we got to cheer on others while doing it.
So there were many different bonding activities that we had with each other. We had like many different fun icebreaker games over the 3 days, and we were put into like many different groups with different people, so we got to learn more people. And another cool activity we did was like this survey. So basically the room was treated as kind of like a survey, with one end being like strongly agree and the other end being strongly disagree, and then everything in between. And we were asked different topics and then to go to the point in the room in which we agreed. And this kind of showed us that not everyone believes the same things, but then afterwards we got to sit down and talk about it and figure out that just because people believe different things, they have a reason for that, and we can still make really good relationships with them despite our differences.
Okay. So the picture to the far left is like the day we took like a tour around DC. So there's me. The other girl who went with us is Natasha. Unfortunately, she went to Oregon because she was forced to go there just for a new school. Anyways, there's Adeline, Ava, and someone we love so much, Myra. And the one to the far left is when we got to the airport in Washington, D.C. That's all of us, Miss Lindsay, me, Natasha, my dad. Myra, Ava, Adeline, Miss Bailey, and Joanna, who's not here with us today. Right now in the room. She's still alive, though. You can explain the other pictures. The one on the bottom from the airport picture with the ones that we have all the blue shirts is me and Myra. We were in the Metro, and it was a really cool experience for us getting to get a Metro card and riding Metros, because that's what they do in big cities. And we also got to, on the first day, Dr. Bailey had us like navigate the different routes. So just in case one day if we would ever to get lost or move to a big city, that we would know how to get home and to our location. The one in the middle on the top is us three at the Native American Museum. And we really got to learn about their different tribes and their folk tales and stuff, and it was really cool. The one on the bottom was when it was like one of our first days there, and we got to visit the White House. And the picture of the sky was just really pretty, so I added it.
Okay, so the picture on the top left is in our hotel lobby on our last day when we got to give a presentation on topics we were passionate about to everyone else at the Gear Up conference, which was really cool and helped us build lots of public speaking skills. The one in the middle top was just a fun picture. And then the top right was just us with our peers and the people we got to meet. And then there's another picture of the White House on the bottom left. The bottom middle was in the airport, I think, in the airplane. I think that was on our connecting flight from Chicago to DC. And then the last picture, I think, was at the Native American Museum.
Those were all the people who attended the Gear Up conference, and that's our table, Nebraska. It was like really cool. It was so high fancy and stuff. I heard that the president went there as well. These are just some more pictures. So like the Lincoln Memorial, we got to visit that and tour it. Washington Memorial, sorry. Another picture of just the sky, because lots of us, like, it was either our first or second time on an airplane. And then the middle one is our table. That was our first day there. We all wore matching Gear Up shirts with Lay's. And it was just a really cool experience because we had a little small table because it was only a couple of us, but it was really cool seeing all the different states being represented.
So during the summit, we bonded together as a group and were able to enhance lifelong skills. We're very grateful to have been chosen to this summit, and we took a lot away from it.
We would like to thank Dr. Bailey and the GIPS team for making this experience possible for us. We learned so much from the summit that we will continue to use in our everyday lives.
So as you could tell, they were a little bit nervous, and I told them they had no reason to be nervous because, I don't know if you saw the picture of the stage, but we were in the National Conference Center where all the presidents addressed for all the big formal events, and they stood on that stage and addressed 2,500 high school professionals, superintendents, college educators from Gear Up programs all around the country. So they really did learn a lot, and I'm very proud of these young women for how they represented our school and the state of Nebraska. So thank you, girls. I'm so proud of you.
Dr. Bailey, there might be some questions for the girls.
Anyone have questions?
Mrs. Hinkle?
Not so much a question, but I just want to congratulate you. I know it is difficult to stand up there and talk to us, and you did very well tonight. So congratulations, and congratulations on being selected to go to this as well. And I was just curious, have any of you traveled to DC before? You said you hadn't?
None of us have.
None of, okay, well, good. Well, I'm glad you had the opportunity to experience that. Thanks for representing us so well.
Thank you.
And I appreciate that you shared your fears with us, the fears that you put on the blocks and that you were able to break into. It takes a lot of vulnerability to share those fears, and you can be a better leader if you're vulnerable also, and even though it's difficult. So you guys are way ahead of the curve here, so just well done. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sorry, Lindsay.
Yep, just to echo that, I also want to say congratulations. You obviously worked so hard, and overcoming a fear or even just inexperience in public speaking is a really big deal. It's so common to be really scared of that. So congrats on that. And I'm just curious, how do you think this new skill set in public speaking will benefit you long term?
You know, like events like these, we obviously had more confidence than the first time that we stepped on stage because it was a bigger audience, and this is like barely anything compared to what we did in Washington.
Well done. Thanks, girls. 6.2, Gear Up, Dr. Allison Bailey and student representatives from the Advanced Medical Sciences will share their summer learning experience at Johns Hopkins University.
Okay, so we had 4 students that were selected to go to the Advanced Medical Camp at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, Maryland in June. And so 2 of them are here to tell you a little bit about their experience. So Thomas and Brianna, it's all you.
Okay. My name is Bree.
My name's Thomas.
And we're just going to talk to you guys about our Johns Hopkins trip. Okay, so starting off, we were there for 10 days, like all together, away in Baltimore, Maryland, staying at the freshman dorms, like at Johns Hopkins, which I thought was really cool. But this opportunity gave me a really good insight into the medical career, since it's like what I want to go into the future. I want to be an optometrist. So I just thought it was a really cool experience to like get a look into like everything that has to do with it. We did a lot while we were there, and I just thought it was a super cool experience to kind of get like into that field and like understand by listening to all these people and seeing all these things about what it takes to be a medical professional and the schooling, and not only that, but like the grit that comes with it, and how you have to have a passion to go with it too. Not just about like the money or like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be in school for this long. It's really about the passion of like wanting to help people and be there for them and just that type of thing.
Before going to Baltimore, I wasn't super sure of what I wanted to do for my future career. And they had given me the schedule for everything that we were going to do, and I looked at it and I wasn't sure of almost anything on the schedule. But going there gave me a great experience of both the medical field and the independence of college life as well, which felt really nice. And it also gave me the opportunity to meet people ranging from California to New York to Puerto Rico and everywhere in between, allowing for kind of the sharing of experiences of high school aged kids from all across the country. And while there, I had learned many new things, which we will discuss further. And I agree with what she said about teaching us to have a passion for going into the medical field, and that it's not all about the money or looking into the future and seeing how much there is to do if you truly love the medical field.
Okay, so one thing that I thought was really cool while we were there is we learned about fractures and how to repair them. And so every day we would like wake up, and then from like 7 to like 9 p.m. we would be doing stuff all day long and just learning. So we'd have a little like class portion where you like have this book, which we actually got to take home. And it has all these medical terms and like all this super cool stuff that I just like kept reading. And so one of the things, like, you have a class section and then like a hands-on portion. So like the beginning of the day we learned about fractures and like all the different types and stuff like that. And then like this picture up here, we had an arm, which obviously wasn't an arm, but there was like a fracture in there. So we actually got to screw in a plate with like actual screws. And then with our suturing skills, we got to suture up the inner portions, and then we also sutured the outer. So it was like a real life experience of what we could get if we were to work like in the ER or something like that. And I thought that was really, really cool, and something more than what the academies at Grand Island Senior High would give you.
Speaking of suturing, we had learned about the process of suturing, and they gave us this kit, which is pictured right here, that they allowed us to take home, which taught us multiple different ways of suturing up wounds and the application process and the different kinds of techniques, which I have found out that I do not have the most steady of hands and I'm not very great at, but it still gave us a great opportunity, especially for people that wanted to go into the ER and would find those type of skills very interesting, and it gave us a good look into kind of the experience that has to go into the ER doctors. And they had even shown us a video of an ER doctor doing it to a fake arm and showing the many years of practice that he obviously had, being able to move his hands, almost making it seem like nothing.
All right, so next we had a Stop the Bleed course, which we had already taken one of those at, well, I have, with the Academy of Medical Sciences and Healthcare. But this one was a little different. We got to learn from, actually at the R. Adams College Shock Trauma Center, we had one of their like professionals come down and talk to us about stopping the bleed and how real it is with trauma. And so I just thought that was a really cool, different experience, more hands-on, and definitely more of like a real-life lesson of what it could be like. So she taught us her little lecture, and then with this one, we got like the little fake arm, and then we had all these little tubes sticking out of it. So you could pick like if you wanted an arterial bleed, or if you just wanted a vein. So arterial would just be more, and then the veins would just be a little less. So you got to pick that, and then with an IV bag, we filled it up with some liquid that was simulating blood. And so then when you held that up, the blood obviously squirted. So we had to take action and stop the bleed. So stuff the wound and like compress that, and then we were in our team. So that little picture up there is everyone who's like assigned in my group. and then apply the tourniquet, apply pressure, and just like different scenarios were thrown at you. And I just thought that was really cool to like act on your feet and get really involved with it.
I would agree. This is one of my favorite things to do. I had a lot of time, or I had a lot of enjoyment doing this type of thing that was more hands-on instead of just kind of sitting down and learning in a classroom of the procedures that you're supposed to do. But that gave us the eligibility to learn how to properly do it and learn how to do it if we were in an emergency situation, if one of our friends, family, or a stranger were to get hurt in a public place, that we could take action, possibly save their life or save them from future complications. And class learning, in this session that's pictured, we learned about different sections of the medical world. These experiences were extremely interesting to both of us and made us want to further look into the medical field. One of my favorite sections that we had gone into was medical ethics, which kind of divided us, but we had come back together and discussed the kind of implications of choosing between somebody possibly dying, which have come up in the most recent year with COVID-19, and possibly picking who would be able to survive on a ventilator and who would not be, which, you know, it divides people, but it also brings us together to find common ground in those types of topics.
All right, so one of our little field trips, we called them, we went on to George Washington School of Nursing, which I thought was really cool. It was another little like endeavor. So we got to learn different things according to patient diagnostics. So with this, we learned about diagnosing patients and using all the special little words and stuff like that, and thinking on your feet. So not being able to like go and talk right away, and really talking to your patient, and when you're in that room and addressing the situation rather than having time to go like think and wonder like what could be wrong with them. So one of my favorite things that we did at George Washington School of Nursing was we went onto this floor, and it was exactly like a hospital, but obviously a simulation. So you walked in, and there were tables and an intercom just talking, and like people walking around, and there were actors all like everywhere. And so I was in a group of like 4 girls, and we walk into our room, and we had an actor, and he was complaining about some type of issue, and we just had to go in, introduce ourselves, and then figure out what was wrong with him. And we had no adults rather than like our patient, and so we just had to figure out and use our knowledge that we had been learning throughout that camp and figure out what was wrong with him. And we ended up diagnosing him with appendicitis, which we were right. And then our PA, who was like running the station, she came in, and she just gave us a couple of different scenarios like right off the top of her head, which I thought was really cool to talk about like what else it could have been, or like if it wasn't appendicitis, like maybe he needed different like surgery, maybe like emergency surgery right away. And I just thought that was really cool, and probably one of my favorite parts of the camp, because it was so hands-on and on your feet that you had to think about it.
Yeah, I had the same experience as her, and connecting to that for the opportunities that it gave us, not myself, but somebody that I had met named Jasmine. She was from Virginia, and she was an incoming senior, and this was actually one of her top schools that she wanted to go to, which gave her a great opportunity to see what it would be like and talk to the nurses that taught and were attending currently, and see what the road ahead of her would look like if she were to ascend there. And of course, it was such a great experience, not only to further our medical knowledge, but also strengthen and build relationships and personal skills. Some of these are my personal favorite pictures that we got there. The one in the top right is when we went to the aquarium. The one in the middle is one of my roommates, whose name is Ian, and our teacher that was there, Mr. Turner. And all the people that were teaching us the medical ethics and in our class times were people that were going to med school. Mr. Turner is now going to the School of Dentistry. I'm not sure where, I think Mississippi. And there were also times for more fun, as you can see in the top left picture. The bottom left picture, we learned how to test for blood pressure. Thank you very much. Learned how to test for blood pressure while we were at George Washington School. Would you like talk about any of your pictures.
Okay, so I didn't put a ton on here, but that picture down there in the bottom right corner, those are all the people that I met in my little like friend group that I formed, which I still talk to every single one of them today. That one, well, I'll just name them off for you. Sierra is from California. Lydia is from Virginia. Is from Illinois. Alyssa is from Virginia, and then Ellie is from New Jersey. And so I just thought that was super cool. I met them all actually the first night I was there, because I didn't really know anybody. Like we were talking about, a college experience. I was there all by myself, and I just had all my stuff, and I kind of walked into the room, and then I kind of just met all these people, which I think is really cool that I still talk to them today. And we just found that common ground of like wanting to be in medicine, and we really all just bonded really great together, and we have stuck together to this day, which I think is super cool. And then on our little times that we could do whatever we wanted and like walk around campus a little bit, I just thought it was really cool to talk to them and try and figure out like what we wanted to do and stuff like that.
During the day, it wasn't all learning, though we had learned a lot. They gave us break times, especially during breakfast, lunch, and I think there was a break between lunch and dinner. But during that time, you were able to explore Johns Hopkins University campus, which was really nice, being able to explore one of the top colleges in this country. And then also I enjoyed, they gave us about 2 blocks of free space for us to explore more of the city, which had some amazing food. I think I ate at this Turkish place maybe 4 times during the 10 days. And there were multiple times where we had decided that we didn't really want to eat the school cafeteria food, though it wasn't bad. It wasn't amazing. Maybe 7 out of 10. But no, there were multiple times where we had decided, it's like, you know what, why don't we just go out to dinner together? And that led for some great opportunities. I still talk to the people that I had met, and that you can see in the middle right picture, that was on the very last night. We had taken a picture on top of the sign, which came out really nice, and I like the way that it came out. But no, got to meet people from all across the country. I'm very glad that Gear Up gave us this opportunity to further see what we want to do with our future. And I'm glad and hope this opportunity can be extended to more students in the future for anything from engineering, medical, I think mathematics, and so much more that it can offer to students for their possible careers.
Yeah, so really proud of these students. They got to have 10 days on a top campus here in our country, and really, as you can tell, they learned a lot, not just about the field of medicine, but about how to think about their future and to see what possibilities are there. So I'm very proud of them. So I know you probably have a few questions for them, so any questions?
Mrs. Hinkle.
Congratulations, and you did a really good job. I just noticed that the 2 of you, as well as the 3 ladies before you, you both mentioned how you learn to work through differences of opinions, and people have different viewpoints on things. And I just want to say that gives me great hope for our future. We need that today, and so thank you. I'm glad you were able to experience that, and hopefully you can share that with everyone else at senior high.
Ms. Wolf?
I have to know, Thomas. Have you decided now, after you attended this camp, are you gearing one way or the other?
Not really sure. I've been asked this a lot, at least once per week by family or friends.
I'm happy to add to the tally.
Yes. You know, I've been really looking at it. I have 2 years left of high school. I'm a sophomore right now, and this experience definitely gave me some interest in the medical field, but had also taught me that maybe patient care isn't the most strong suit for me, and that maybe research and development is a better path to explore. But surprisingly, or maybe to your surprise, I did not choose the medical pathway and have instead went into finance, which is another thing that very much interests me. And I enjoy that at GIPS that we can explore these opportunities before we get to college to be like, okay, I want to try out this thing, and spend 3 years possibly in school to finally switch your degree. And so I think maybe research and development in the medical field could suit me really well, depending on how chemistry goes this year.
And Bree, are you still on the path to ophthalmology?
Yes, I personally have always been interested in ophthalmology. I originally wanted to be an optometrist, like, ever since I was little, which I know is, like, a little generic. But, going to this medical camp, if I don't want to go into optometry, I still really would like to go into something where I can help patients and diagnose and stuff like that. So whether that's nursing or pharmacology or just being a regular physician, I don't really seem to like care at this point. I just really want to help people, and I just thought it was a really, really cool experience that solidified my like idea into going into medicine and how I want to help people.
Dr. Bailey, would you make sure that they both get information on the RHOP program? Are you familiar with that? So that's a, it stands for Rural Health Opportunities Program, and so that can give you an automatic into medical school if you get into the program, and then you can get your undergrad paid for, like Wayne State or Kearney or Shadron. It's the best deal in the world. So, and it's not just medicine, it can be nursing or physical therapy, it can be a lot of different areas. But I think we need to start getting kids that information as sophomores so that they can gear up to for the interview. Do you like how I did that? Okay. Yeah. So anyway, well done. You guys did a great job.
Thank you.
And I will tell you, the other two students who went to this experience at Johns Hopkins, one just graduated from Grand Island Senior High, and she is going into the military and then will proceed on to medical school on the GI Bill. And then the other student is currently a junior, and she's in the JROTC program, and she is also planning to go into the military and then on to medical school. And so they've been working on it in that pathway.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well done. Number 7, request to address the board. I don't think we have any. Skip 8 and 9. Number 10, 10.1, 2022-2023 GIPS staff calendar. Dr. Dexter.
You know how you can edit, and look. Thought it was all done, and then Michelle Simmons was trying to do some work with contracts, and she said, Robin, I've been over this, and the dates at the very bottom are numbers are wrong. So I just, okay, I can't do this right now. Went home, went through it. And all of the dates, the student contact days, teacher days, parent-teacher conference days, those are all correct. What I didn't finish is the plan and prep days, the professional development days. So they're correct in the calendar with the days we have off, but the plan and prep should be 8.5 instead of 8, and the professional development should be 11 instead of 10. And so, Mitch is probably going to be the one that, having to change all of these, but minor editing, but teachers want to know what their plan and prep days are and their professional development. So asking you all to approve the revised version.
Any questions on that, guys? Okay, thank you, Dr. Dexter. 10.2, construction update.
Thanks, President Albers. So right now what we're working on, obviously our ESSER 3 projects, senior high additions are now moving forward, have contractors on site, basically working on utilities, and then as we move through the next month or two, we'll see a lot more activity with actual, building footings and that taking place. So that's going pretty good. Keep in mind too that we won't be able to do any of the security vestibule for that location until this next summer. So it's going to be a busy summer at that location for sure. Also the Kinnickrem project, I'd mentioned I think last month that it's an HVAC upgrade. That won't get started until March. which basically we're waiting on equipment, because that's a big piece of what that is. And, you know, I know everyone's heard about supply chain issues, and so we're just going to make sure we have all of our toys before we go play. Right now, presently, after we, you know, little history, after we approved those couple projects, we're sitting left with about $2 million for the spend. And so I've been working with our designers on what that would be. And I've got basically 7 more security vestibule projects that were on the project list for that. And so we're focusing on those. And right now, I was going to use kind of a different strategy, because the ESSERs, it has to all be bid. We want it to be competitive. And so the bigger one of those would be the Walnut piece. Walnut's going to be a security vestibule and have a little bit of a build out and then remodel the office. So I'm going to have that as our main bid, and then have 6 alternates. And those 6 alternates will be Howard, Yates, Newell, Lincoln, Wasmer, West Lawn. And those will be a smaller undertaking. Mainly will be replacing their exterior doors and potentially interior doors with door controls, so that they look more like our newer model with our newer buildings, with card access. In a couple cases, they still have this piece where they are secure and hooked up to the A-phone, so that a visitor still cannot just walk in the building. They have to be given permission. But with this newer equipment, it makes that work a lot better. You know, in particular, one of the buildings that we had to, table was the Gates project, which was pretty disappointing just because of, how I thought important that project was. But we are going to focus on that location to do a couple things. In particular, the security vestibule piece I mentioned, which would entail at that location replacing those front doors with the controls, and then so we have that, a better system in play. Again, looks similar to what our new buildings have. They also have an area which I would call the West Pod area, that is more of an open concept area. And so with that, I'll just basically take the plans that we would have done this with and just move those onto this the newer project list, so that we can put in doors with locks and a couple wall areas, so that each room will have its own locked door for security. And so that'll basically represent, what our model is for our new buildings. So that work would probably take place, really only have to be this summer. So I mentioned busy summer. Now I'm going to put this, like I said, strategy is big project and then have these smaller projects. And that'll allow us as alternates to accept, if for instance we go past that $2 million money that we have, then we can select a couple of those if we have to pull back. And my intent would be to then, if we can't pay for it through ESSER dollars, then we'll pay for it through my budget dollars off that I use for the project list. And so I'm pretty confident we'll be able to get, all these buildings I mentioned at least up with that piece of our security. So then that was our goal, is to, try to accomplish all those things. There's only one of the projects that isn't going to be able to be included, and that was the Westridge vestibule, but it has a newer system, so I'm not super concerned about it. And so I think, at some point in time down the road, we'll probably be back at Westridge doing work, maybe we talked about a potential bond sometime down the road, 5 years, 6 years. We're going to tackle that, and we will then bring that up to what our current standard is. So any questions about any of those projects?
So you use the term alternates. So, so that, I guess that term I find a little confusing. So you know that with the ESSER dollars, you're going to do the two big projects that you were talking about, and then you're just going to start chipping away at the vestibules?
Yes.
And in no particular order? Or do you have a particular order for those, or you're just going to see how the money plays out?
The order goes like this. The main project is going to be Walnut because it's the bigger build. And by including these other smaller projects into that, I'm hoping for the costs to be smaller or less because they're going to have a larger purchasing of that equipment.
For the bid, when it goes out to bid?
Yeah. And so, we've done projects in the past. We put alternates in there for things that we would that are needs, but if we had to, it's something we could do without if worst came to worst. So my order is going to be my proposed order. I still have to work this out with designers too. Just keep that in mind, because as we get into that design piece, because we're just getting started, we might find out things that might say, hey, we don't want to go and add this one because it's going to cost us much more. Howard would be probably my number 2, Gates number 3, but again, we're just really talking about door controls and new doors. So I think that from the list I read off with those elementaries, that if we can't pay for it through the ESSER piece, we'll pull it out of that, the ESSER column, so to say, and it's going to go on the project list column.
Okay, thank you.
Get them all done. Anything else?
Doesn't look like it.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Cloutier, you are on. 10.3, Student Rep Report.
So I want to begin by congratulating everyone on what's, in my opinion, an extremely successful return to school. So far this year, even though it's early on, we've only exceeded expectations, and I believe that we will continue to improve as the year progresses. And then first on my agenda, I want to sort of tell you guys about the student government at senior high for the class of 22-23. We've only met twice, but I've known all of them since middle school, and I can personally tell you that they are extremely talented and intelligent, and they have exceptional character. They're just really great for the positions that they were elected for. So yeah, without further ado, the class president is Trevante Harris, who is a student athlete, basketball player, and he is distinguished on the honor roll. He's interested in pursuing a career involving art and multimedia technology production. Our vice president is Emma McCoy, another multi-sport student athlete with honor roll distinction and varsity letters in basketball and track, who claims membership in the National Honor Society. She's interested in pursuing a career in the medical field. And then last but not least is our secretary, Dulce Montanez, another student athlete and honor roll recipient who plays soccer and is involved in wrestling. And she's interested in a career in the nursing field, and she has invaluable experience working as a certified nursing assistant. So yeah, I can tell you guys that these guys are really great leaders. They're young men and women of the highest caliber, and I am very excited for the work I'll be doing and how we'll be assisting you guys and just working for senior high. Next up, I want to talk about some of the accomplishments achieved by various Islander activities over the first few weeks of school. First off, participation rates for athletics, clubs, activities are up across the board, so just an overall increase in involvement, which is really good. It means more Islanders are taking advantage of all the extracurricular opportunities that they're provided at senior high, which I think is really cool. So far, as our athletic seasons go, girls golf is off to a really good start. Haley Kinkle recently shot a 70 to win the GI invite. Islander Volleyball is also started off with a winning record, and they'll be taking that momentum to a tournament this weekend at Bellevue East. The cheerleading and dance squads have hosted the Little Islanders cheer camp this year, and performed at the first home football game against Westside. Islander softball has had really great success, and they've won 2 games in a series against Lincoln Southeast. Boys tennis and cross country teams have both started off well, with particular success for one runner, specifically a sophomore, Ruben Contreras, who placed first at 2 cross country invites so far, which is really impressive. Football also started off strong, the win against North Platte, and we're hoping to respond to our loss against Norfolk on Friday at the homecoming game. And then after the game will be the homecoming dance on Saturday, which will be a really great celebration after we win. And then as for the fine arts, band has started their competition season, and show choir is continuing to prepare for theirs. And then last but definitely not least, I just want to personally but also representatively for the student body, thank you guys just for your relentless and persistent leadership. So far, I think the direction the school is headed and the strategy that's been employed is just phenomenal. So far, the updated policy for the new school year already has had a tremendous positive impact on students and staff. 3 weeks into the year, dress code compliance exceeds 99%, and I mean, that's really impressive for how short of a turnaround it is. I think students they really get it and are responding to it well. There's also been a huge success with the e-hall passes. I mean, personally, it's worked really well, really smoothly, and it's been really great for keeping our halls safe. I actually have a student told me in reference to the e-hall pass and also the new open block standards that it helps make the hallways feel more safe. And obviously the academies are a great success continued. Personally, I have really enjoyed them. I've had lots of opportunities. I was originally in the medical academy, which allowed me to take a CNA class, which gives me the opportunity to become certified as a nursing assistant if I so choose. And then this year I'm in the Engineering and Technology Academy, and I'm taking the IT course. So it's just, you can learn about all sorts of stuff that really wouldn't be available in a lot of high schools around the nation, and I think that's really cool. Lots of kids think it's cool. A lot of seniors have talked to me about how they're excited about the job shadowing with the capstone, which is another really great thing. So yeah, I look forward to the rest of the year and the success and growth that is imminent with the superb administration, staff, and students that all just so happen to be a part of the same district.
Nicely done, Mr. Cloutier, thank you. 10.4, Superintendent Report.
I know. Thank you, Mr. Cloutier. You definitely gave me some good proof points. So I have some proof to my report tonight. So thank you so much. Excited to work with you. So we're going to start. Actually, I wanted to start off with back to school as well. We have officially kicked off the school year, and it is such a new momentum within Grand Island Public Schools. I know Mr. Cloutier talked specifically about Grand Island Senior High School. And I, too, want to applaud the administration and the students. I've been up there several times since the school started, and the systems is obvious that there was a lot of thought that went into the process over the summer. Obviously, a lot of communication with the students, and I would agree, the compliance rate is extremely high. I do think that definitely the expectations are there, and I actually took a little video of the hallway. I guess I let it run for almost a minute just to see how many dress code violations I would see. I have to collect data. But I think I maybe only saw maybe like one. It was just so impressive, and there was already somebody probably by the time they got to the end of the hallway that was calling the student to the side. So just, I know that is somewhat low-hanging fruit, but it sets the stage for the culture that we're trying to create to be safe, and to be compliant, and to, again, have high expectations to create that atmosphere for learning. So, and that is definitely being seen also at a number of schools. I was at Walnut. They actually changed up the way that they do their lunchroom duty. I thought this was quite interesting. So instead of having like all 300 kids come in the cafeteria at one time, they actually have them rotating in shifts. It's almost as quiet as an elementary type lunchroom setting. So it's just little adjustments that can make a big difference. So I just really appreciate the administration for thinking ahead about how they can continue to work on culture. So you can see we're out at the buildings here. And just a lot of fun walking through the campuses, engaging with a lot of folks. The energy is high. A lot of great feedback about the start of the year. So thank you for your leadership, for your expectations, and I do think people are working extremely hard to meet them. I also want to give a big shout out to our HR team, as we put a lot of focus in on our certified staffing to make sure that we had our classrooms 100% covered. That's gone extremely well. We've now kind of turned our attention towards our classified staff. I do want to say that we hired an RN in Grand Island Public Schools. Kudos. The medical field can't even find nurses. We were able to find one. That's a huge win for our students that are in the Academy of Medical Sciences. We've also hired an elementary teacher for next year. So just want to let you know that we are working ahead so we can stay ahead of the game in terms of the national teacher shortages. But I do want to maybe call your attention to a little bit more details in regards to our classified staff. So last week we had 53 openings. As of tonight, we have 38 openings in our classified staff. We've hired 4 new nutrition services employees and 11 new pairs, including 2 special education pairs. I just can't stress enough how our HR team is working to get these positions filled. We have a strategy meeting in the morning for some very targeted, specific steps that we're going to take. I have no doubt that we will get this number down even from 38, because once we set our mind to it, it will happen. Kudos again to the HR team. And all of our partners in the community, they've actually taken their job hiring on the road. Instead of waiting for people to come to us, we're going to them. We're meeting at different places within Grand Island to attract people, also doing some other outreach. And so those different tactics are actually making a difference. I want to say, as we walk through the buildings, the L4L team has implemented the trend walks. You'll probably get a chance to see some of those as we go out through the school year. But they are really set to ensure that we have district level support for continuous school improvements across our buildings. I actually had a chance to participate in one yesterday at Barr Middle School. Quite impressed. We do have a very specific protocol of what we're looking for. We're looking for academic supports as well as positive behavior supports. I want to give a huge shout out to Barr. Overwhelmingly, in summary of their reports, their positive behavior, their climate with their students, student engagement with teacher compliance just was top of the charts at that particular campus yesterday. Also just a debriefing in terms of where they want to go in next steps and really planning for their professional development for next week. Also, is my understanding, we've also conducted them at Walnut as well as West Lawn, and just kudos. As Walnut was a demonstration school of rigor, so they've definitely had a lot of intensive training in the academic areas, and I think that was evident in their trend walk today. So Dr. Palmer will probably come at some point and bring you an official update, but I couldn't wait. I was so excited with that trend walk yesterday. We also had an opportunity to be engaged at the state fair, and so our marching band, of course, they performed. It's my understanding they drew a crowd at the fair, so congratulations to them as well as our cheerleaders. We had many of our elementary schools. They participated in some of the field trip opportunities in terms of Nebraska's largest classroom, and really appreciate the fair's focus on STEM. That definitely is in alignment with what we're working on here in Grand Island Public Schools. Barr Middle School, again, they had quiz bowl teams that competed in the state finals, and that was outstanding to see. And even some of our schools, they've definitely taken home some first place prizes, and even in some new categories. So a lot of great talent at the fair from Grand Island Public Schools. Mr. Cloutier has already talked about the fall sports. Look at here, Island of Pride all around. Let me just say that. A lot of cheering going on. Impressed with volleyball for sure. So just a lot of great hype. He's explaining. So coming up, we are working on our new esports team coming soon. I've already been over there playing with the equipment just a little bit. They're not going to let me on the team, though, and that's probably the right thing to do. But shout out to Mr. Benjamin Martin and Dr. Ken DeFrank. They are anchoring this new extracurricular opportunity for our students. They are setting up the equipment, but they're also looking to recruit assistant coaches. They're designing a logo. They've already tapped into the state group as well. And so that's going to be exciting. This is really exciting because you have an opportunity to reach a different group of students. And it's my understanding we have over 150 students that have already expressed interest in this program. And so that's our goal going forward, is to make sure that every student has an opportunity to participate in at least one extracurricular opportunity. And with all the investments from the board, from the district, I believe that that will happen. And then I do want to just give an update to our community. This is somewhat on behalf of the board, but I just want to make sure that everyone is aware that we will have a new board brief that will be coming out to all of our families tomorrow. It will be in their inboxes. It will include a summary from Mrs. Albers, as well as some other pertinent information from the board meetings. This is a new endeavor, and so for our staff, if you are listening, this is a little bit of a change from our summary that we would normally send out on Thursday nights. We will have an official board brief that will hit your inbox by 9 a.m. the Friday morning after the board meeting. So thank you all so much for being very intentional to get information out so that our staff members as well as our public can understand discussions and decisions made here within the board meeting. I will answer any additional question, but that concludes my report for tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Grover. So action items 11.1, 2022-2023 GIPS staff calendar. Dr. Dexter's going to stay seated for this. So all we're doing is just making a clerical change that doesn't actually change the calendar itself. It's just crossing a T and dotting an I. And does anybody have any questions about that? No? Okay. Go ahead and vote. Oh, wait.
I need a motion.
I need a motion. I'm getting ahead of myself.
I was going to make the motion. Are you okay with that?
Yeah. Yes. Yes, please.
I would move to approve the corrections to the GIPS 2022-2023 staff calendar.
Mr. Brown and Dr. Brose, any discussion? Go ahead and vote. There it is. Motion passes. And 11.2. Sorry, guys, 1 second. Adding FTE requests, campus monitor supervisor at GISH.
And I'm going to take this one. I had an opportunity to talk to Mr. Jacobson before he was gone this week. And the name of the position is actually going to be Campus Security CSS. What was it? Supervisor, thank you. I knew it was CSS, I just couldn't remember the last step. And what Mr. Jacobson explained to me is that this was a position that they had been wanting to put in place even prior to the start of the school year. We normally, this position, I'm going to first go, this position is needed for several reasons. They would supervise all the other campus monitors, which there currently are 4 of them, and just kind of make sure that everybody's where they should be throughout the day and when they should be out the day, because we all know how large an area senior high is. Plus, we also know that we have more students every year. This year, we've seen quite the increase in the freshman class. Plus, there's 64 doors at GISH that all need to be monitored. And any of us who've had kids that go through there, we know that, but we also know that things continue to be heightened in security, and they evaluate constantly just to make sure that we're always doing the best that we can. And they will also be able to help respond to the incidents that maybe the SROs do not need to respond to. So such as with a cell phone, if a student is reluctant to give it to the teacher and the teacher needs help with that, this person could go there and help get the phone or escort them to the principal's office, whatever may be the case. They'll investigate initial threats and safety concerns, and of course, when it needs to be handed off to the SRO, they would do that. They'll assist with all the safety drills. We have to do a lot of different drills required by law, but also just because we know it's the right thing to do. For example, like reunification events, it's good to have that all worked out before an event happens and we have to do that. And then they can also help add the additional support at sporting events and fine arts events. And they will support the two SROs because sometimes they have to be out of the building or they're all busy. And as we currently know, because of staffing issues within the GIPE, we have started a year with only one SRO, and we don't know when we'll have the other one. So it's definitely needed even more than what it previously was. They will report to Mr. Calvin Hubbard. They're required to have a background in law enforcement or security, so a retired law enforcement or someone who has resigned from that area. And they also would be trained on the behavior and restorative justice to help with that as well. So after getting that additional explanation from Mr. Jacobson, I can definitely understand why this position is needed. $45,840 a year, and as we heard in our budget meeting earlier tonight, we are able to pay for that with little impact to the cash reserve. So if anybody has any questions, either I or Mr. Hubbard can try to answer those. Any questions?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay, so a motion maybe? Or do you want me to make the motion?
I was looking for Terry to make the motion. Ms. Wolf?
Yeah, I motion to approve the additional FTE for the campus monitor supervisor. What's its name? Campus.
The campus security supervisor.
Campus security supervisor at Grand Island Senior High as presented.
Ms. Wolf and Mr. Helinski, any discussion? Go ahead and vote. And motion passes.
Thanks for being here.
And 12 is reports, NASB monthly update, that will come to your inbox. And 13, executive session for the purpose of discussing a real estate transaction and personnel because it is in the best interest of the public to discuss this matter in closed session. Please.
I motion to recommend the board to convene to executive session for the purpose of discussing a real estate transaction and personnel, and only a real estate transaction and personnel.
Ms. Hinkle and Mr. Brown, any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes. Right? Okay.
I make a motion, we reconvene from an executive session.
Mrs. Hinkle and Ms. Wolf? Any discussion? I'm so out of, do we could discuss now? I like forget. Okay. Vote. I know, sometimes I forget, like, when do we discuss? Motion pass. Whoops.